This NBA season has been full of drama and big stories. Jimmy Butler's situation in Miami has caught a lot of attention, with reports suggesting his relationship with the organization and Pat Riley might be beyond repair. It's rare to hear Butler talk about losing his love for the game, but during a recent press conference, he admitted he's not enjoying basketball right now. Usually he vents frustration about specific issues, but hearing him say he's lost his joy feels different. Trade discussions have also been heating up. The Cat and Julius Randle trade now seems to favor the Knicks, according to how both team seasons have been going. Meanwhile, the Suns season has been falling apart, and there are rumors about De'Aaron Fox possibly being behind Mike Brown's firing. Teams dealing with the most drama, like the Timberwolves, Kings, and Suns, are still in the hunt for the last play-in spot, adding even more intensity to the race. One of the biggest talking points this year, though, has been the NBA's declining ratings, but there's hope for a boost. A 7'3" Frenchman playing at an MVP level in his second season could just be what the league needs. Enter Victor Wembanyama. Let's talk about it. The hype surrounding Victor Wembanyama was something we haven't seen in recent memory, probably not since LeBron James entered the league in 2003. Back then, LeBron was being compared to Michael Jordan before he even played an NBA game. Similarly, Wemby was being measured against today's greats, with comparisons to Kevin Garnett, Giannis, and even the old-time greats like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Kevin Garnett. It's natural for fans to draw parallels to all-time legends when evaluating generational talents. Comparisons help us gauge potential and imagine the kind of impact a player might have. Let's look at some past examples. Dante Exum was compared to Penny Hardaway, Dennis Smith Jr. to Russell Westbrook, Kevin Knox to Paul George, Josh Jackson to Kawhi Leonard, Cam Reddish to Tracy McGrady. Fans have made plenty of bold and sometimes wildly inaccurate comparisons over the years. That's why many were hesitant to immediately link a lengthy 7'3" center to some of the biggest names in basketball. But when fans make comparisons, they don't just throw out names randomly, at least not all the time. The Exum-Hardaway comparison might seem like a miss now, but it wasn't without logic. Exum and Hardaway were both tall point guards, Penny at 6'7", Exum at 6'6", with playmaking potential. There were glimpses of similarity in their games that sparked the comparison. So while some comparisons age poorly, there's usually reasoning behind them. That's why Wembanyama drew comparisons to Kristaps Porzingis and Kevin Durant early on. The term unicorn gets used often in basketball, but Wemby truly fits the bill. Guard-like skills and a player standing a foot taller than the average NBA guard. It's no surprise that the Victor Wembanyama hype was so captivating. NBA teams are known to tank for a chance at landing the number 1 pick, especially when there's talk of a prospect who could one day be in the GOAT conversation. The Spurs took that route, trading away DeJounte Murray in the offseason and essentially throwing in the towel for the year. Their gamble paid off as they ended up with the first overall pick. Looking back, it's almost funny to remember that there was even a debate between Wemby and Scoot Henderson for the top spot. Scouts were drawn to Scoot because he was seen as mature and NBA ready after playing for the G League Ignite. However, his rookie season didn't go as planned, and his efficiency is actually regressing in his second year. Fortunately for the Spurs, they didn't make the kind of historic mistake the Timberwolves did when they passed on Steph Curry twice in the same draft. San Antonio bet on Wembanyama, and it's safe to say that that decision paid off. Wemby went on to have one of the greatest rookie seasons in recent memory, but when it comes to the best rookie campaign of all time, that honor likely belongs to Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt's rookie year was nothing short of legendary. He averaged an astonishing 37.6 points and 27 rebounds per game, leading the league in both categories. He remains the only player to win both MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season, which is why the Rookie of the Year trophy bears his name. While Wemby's season wasn't quite as dominant, it was unforgettable in the context of today's game. He led all rookies in scoring with 21 points per game, grabbed 11 rebounds, and led the entire league in blocks with 3.6 per game. He even finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, narrowly losing to Rudy Gobert. Some might even argue that Wemby got snubbed. After all, we saw Luka Doncic expose Rudy in the playoffs. But all that aside, Wemby's shot blocking as a rookie put him in elite company. Only one other player has led the league in blocks as a rookie, which was Manute Bol, and now Wemby himself. On his podcast, Draymond Green mentioned that the scariest part about Victor Wembanyama's rookie season was the idea that this might be the worst season of his career. He pointed out that Wemby's historic rookie year could end up being his lowest statistical output. Later in the episode, Draymond added that even if Wemby never improves offensively, he's already an all-star caliber player. Luckily, that's not a concern. Wemby has clearly taken a leap offensively. He's now averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks per game, while shooting 48.3% from the field and 35.4% from 3. At the start of the season, Wemby faced a lot of criticism for taking too many threes. To be fair, those critics had a point. Big men his size are generally expected to shoot at least 50% from the field. With his height and touch around the rim, that's a reasonable expectation. However, in defense of Wemby, at least he's working on expanding his game. And despite the volume of threes, his efficiency is respectable. He was taking around 9 threes per game, shooting at roughly the same percentage as Luka Doncic, who was attempting a similar number. Yet, while Wemby faced criticism for his shot selection, Luka didn't receive nearly as much pushback. Sure, the height difference is a factor, but you could make the case that Luka should have been attacking the paint more often too. It kind of feels like a double standard. Despite the backlash Wemby received for shooting so many threes, he's been putting up historic numbers right in front of our eyes night in and night out. Let me break down some of his second-year stats, and you guys should probably drop your thoughts in the comments about them. First, Wemby has scored more points in his first 100 games than LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Carmelo Anthony. On the defensive end, he's recorded more blocks in that span than Shaq, Dikembe Mutombo, and Hakeem Olajuwon. And here's a surprising one. Wemby has made more threes in his first 100 games than Steph Curry did. Steph hit 200 threes while Wemby knocked down 225. December was a breakout month for Wemby. Whether it was a holiday magic or something else, he became the first player in NBA history to record 300 plus points with 342, 100 plus rebounds with 120, 50 plus assists with 58, 50 plus blocks with 53, and 40 plus made threes with 43 in a single month. That kind of production has made him a dark horse MVP candidate in the eyes of many. Interestingly, Wemby's rapid rise might actually be disrupting the Spurs' original timeline. They didn't anticipate him being so good so soon. The plan was going to be just to let him develop, gain muscle, and continue tanking to draft more talent around him. That's why they brought in veterans like Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, not to compete right away, but to mentor Wemby and give him a taste of playing with a high-level playmaker like CP3. The idea was for Paul to throw lobs during regular season games, not clutch playoff moments. Yet here we are, the Spurs are unexpectedly sitting at the 9th seed. Nobody saw that coming. This season has been wild. The Clippers are thriving without Paul George, and the Timberwolves might not even make the play-in. Everything feels out of place. Nobody expected it to become so apparent that Wemby is truly on a GOAT trajectory. Just like Wemby, all the legends in the GOAT conversations had his sky-high expectations and exceeded them early. Michael Jordan, for example, finished 6th in MVP voting and played all 82 games in his rookie season. LeBron James won Rookie of the Year and led the Cavs to an 18-win improvement over the previous year. These generational players often spark success early in their careers, and Wemby might be following that same path. This might sound wild, and I'm not saying the Spurs should do this, but they could actually make a move at the trade deadline and try to compete right now. They're already sitting in a playoff spot, which hardly anybody expected. Most thought they'd be outside the play-in race, but Chris Paul has that effect. He elevates every team he joins, and the Spurs squad is no exception. If they add a few pieces, they could realistically make a push. That's just me thinking about what would be the most entertaining right now, without worrying about the long-term plan. Because at this point, it feels fair to say Wemby is already approaching top 10 player status in the league, maybe even top 5 in some eyes. Realistically, you can't put him above guys like Jokic, Giannis, Luka, or Shea yet. And I'm not even saying he surpasses Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum, or other guys like that yet. The key word is yet. Because imagine swapping Tatum and Wemby, put Wemby on the Celtics and Tatum on the Spurs. That's a whole different conversation, and the top 10 player debate gets a lot more interesting. But what do you think? Is Wemby already a top 10 or top 5 player in the NBA? Tell me in the comment section below. Until next time, peace.